Does it ever feel like your weight has a mind of its own? Maybe one day you're feeling strong and sexy and good in your body, and the next day you're just feeling bloated, not like yourself, and maybe the number on the scale went up unexpectedly. Today I want to talk about 5 strange things your weight does that are actually totally normal. And hey, if you're new to the channel, hello and welcome. My name is Katie. I'm a registered dietitian and certified personal trainer, and here on the channel we help you go from restriction and dieting to food freedom so you can eat the foods you love and not obsess and stress over your nutrition. Ooh, that's good. I'm gonna write that down. The first strange thing that your weight may do from time to time that is actually totally normal is that it seems to change overnight. Now, in my early days as an RD, I did a lot of weight management, stuff like that. And I think that's a pretty common goal for a lot of people when it comes to nutrition, even though there's a lot more to nutrition than just weight loss and stuff like that. But I digress. I would see a lot of people get really stressed out over seemingly gaining weight overnight. But here's the thing, your body is not just one giant amorphous blob of fat. I think people think that just because they gain, it means they gained body fat. And I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying that that is the negative association we tend to have with weight gain. But it's actually really normal for your body to fluctuate in weight from day to day, anywhere from 0.5 to 5 pounds, depending on circumstances. So it can depend on a lot of things, not just fat loss and fat gain. For example, being hydrated versus being really severely dehydrated. So if you stepped on the scale when you had no water in your system, say first thing in the morning after you pee, versus when you pounded a 32-ounce bottle of water like this one, you're gonna see a totally different number on the scale, and that's literally just has to do with hydration versus dehydration. It can also be changed by the sodium in your diet that day. So maybe if you go from a regular amount of sodium to an extra large amount, maybe you had ramen or something that you don't normally have, that is gonna change the fluid in your body, because the higher sodium that you have in your body at the time, it draws in more fluid, which means more water retention, which means more weight gain. All of this to say, you will never have a pound or 2 or 3 of pure fat gain overnight. It's a little more nuanced than that. The next one is for my ladies in the audience, which is probably 95% of you, and more specifically, ladies that are still on their menstrual cycle. So during your time of the month, if you measure your weight, which I'm not saying you should, but if you do, you might notice that you either feel more bloated or that you increase on the scale. This is due to the hormone progesterone that increases at the beginning of your period, which causes the kidneys to retain water and salt. So during your period, one thing that you can do to kind of counterbalance this or mitigate some of the symptoms is make sure that you're drinking plenty of water during your cycle. You can have herbal teas, non-caffeinated beverages, anything like that, and also have tons of veggies, whole grains, and things with a good amount of fiber, again, paired with water, so you can reduce bloating and feel a little more regular during your period. And the last thing to keep in mind with this one is take a deep breath and remember that it's temporary. Your period is only for a couple days out of the month, and I promise once you get to the other side, your weight is going to level out right back to normal. The third strange thing that your weight does that is actually totally normal is plateauing once you get closer to a weight loss goal. And there are many factors that weigh into this and why it happens. Reason number one is that as our weight decreases, so if you had a higher weight, say 270, and you lower it to 200, when our weight decreases, our metabolic rate also decreases. So ironically, that means the more weight that you lose, the less energy your body needs to do its thing. Reason number 2 for weight loss plateaus is that dieting outside of the weight loss part of dieting can also decrease metabolic rate. Dieting can cause a lot of stress on our bodies, and stress in the form of restriction typically means that your body is going to slow down its metabolism in efforts to not starve itself. So its whole purpose is to keep you alive and functioning. And so if we were in the primal days, or if we're on a desert island and we're actually starving, this is a good thing. But for people who are actively trying to lose weight, this can be discouraging or something that they feel like is something wrong with them. It's actually just your body's own protective mechanism. You might wonder, okay, so what do I actually do if this is the case? And let me know in the comments section below if you'd like to hear more about this topic, because I think it's a really good one, and I also think that it would take way too long to put in this video in one of the tips. So let me know in the comments below if you're interested in this topic specifically. What I would recommend in a nutshell is a reverse diet. This is something that I do with my clients and that I'm also potentially building a nutrition course on soon, so keep an eye out for that. But a reverse diet is essentially when you're going from dieting, say you're having 1,300 calories or whatever the apps are recommending you these days. Sometimes when you increase your calorie needs too quickly, you can see unwanted body composition changes or weight gain. But when you do it in a slow and steady manner, you can slowly increase your metabolic rate without feeling like you're out of control with your weight. This is a way to kind of help your body adapt to that increase in calories. It heals your metabolism. It's so healthy for anyone who's experienced dieting, disordered eating, anything like that. And I highly recommend it. Definitely get help from a dietitian. And again, if you're interested in working with me, I do have a few one-on-one coaching spots that you can check out in the description below. And one last thing on this one too, that I find to be true a percentage of the time, probably like 20% of the time, is that sometimes we have unrealistic goal weights for ourselves. So it can feel like your weight loss is plateauing when really you're at your body's normal ideal weight, and you really shouldn't be dipping too low below that number. We can feel like because we weighed a certain weight in high school that it's our healthy weight now, and unfortunately that's just not the case for everybody. Sometimes your set point weight can fluctuate as you get older. Sometimes it stays the same. It's individual for every single person, and I recommend talking with your dietitian on whether or not this is the right weight for you, because sometimes getting that outside perspective can help reel it in. Before we get into the last two, number 4 and 5, definitely make sure that you check out my free masterclass on how to fuel your workouts more effectively without dieting. It is in the description below next to my coaching links and other stuff like that. I will also have a free masterclass on mindful eating coming very soon, so I will leave that in the description when it is available. So check those free resources out. I try to do my best to give you guys the knowledge that you deserve and go in depth on some of these fun topics that I think will help you have a healthier relationship with food. So make sure to check those out below and hit the like button and subscribe if you are enjoying this video. And number 4 of the things that happen to your weight that are actually totally normal is that your weight changes as you get older. We kind of alluded to this in the last one, so my bad for jumping ahead, but your metabolism can slowly start to decrease over time, especially if you are not being an active person. No shame either way, but I highly recommend getting into some sort of routine with strength training as you get older, because this can help level out that slow and steady metabolism decrease as you get older. The more muscle you have in your body, the more your body burns at rest. So therefore, if you gain muscle, then you probably won't see these declines as significantly. I wanted to check the statistics on this specific topic, and I found that they actually have found in recent studies that between the age of 20 and 60, you actually don't see a whole lot of decreases in your metabolism like they once thought. But after 60, we have about a 0.7% decrease in metabolic rate, which may not sound like a ton, but it can be pretty significant, especially if you have maybe some unhealthy habits that you had from your teenage years and you take them all the way into adulthood. That can definitely have an effect on your body composition and maybe how you feel energy-wise and mood-wise. So just something to note as you creep up towards that age. I officially turned 30 this year, so I am halfway there. And the last strange thing that happens to your weight that's actually totally normal is that when you gain muscle and feel more toned and confident, you're actually most likely gonna see an increase on the scale. And why this is so relevant and why I felt like it was noteworthy is that weight is just a number. You could gain 10 pounds that is strictly muscle and feel so much more alive, energized, and confident. But just because it's an increase on the scale, sometimes people think it's a negative thing automatically. And this little emphasis point is probably a little more relevant and hits home more so women than it does men, because men, I think, associate muscle gain with a positive thing. But again, for some reason, us ladies, any sort of weight gain tends to be posed as this negative thing automatically because programming, I guess. Not to get morbid and weird with you, but our bodies are composed of bones, muscle, cartilage, skin, other fluids. It's a weird thing to say, but it's true. It's not just pure body fat. The weight on the scale is dependent on not just body fat, but all sorts of things that your body is made up of. My hair itself probably weighs like 3 pounds. Maybe not now that I got a haircut, but you know what I mean. All right, well, thanks so much for hanging out with me for today's video. If you want to keep hanging out on YouTube, click or tap the screen to head on over to the next video, and I will see you all there. Bye, guys.